help me reach 2,000 subscribers. Game night was supposed to be fun. A small gathering of close friends, a few snacks, laughter, and the casual competition of board games. But that night everything changed. My name is Alex, I'm 34. And I had no idea that a simple night of dice rolls and charades would reveal the deepest betrayal of my life. It started subtly. My wife Lauren had been distant for weeks. Her texts were curt, her smiles seemed forced, and she avoided eye contact more than usual. I tried to tell myself it was stress from work, or maybe the exhaustion of managing our busy lives. But a small nagging part of me knew something wasn't right. And then there was Ryan, my best friend since college. I trusted him more than anyone. He had been around for every major milestone: our engagement, wedding, first apartment, the birth of our daughter. He was like family, or at least that's what I believed. Lauren and Ryan had been acting strangely together lately. Subtle glances, secretive whispers when they thought I wasn't looking, laughter that seemed just a little too intimate. I brushed it off, telling myself I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid. But that night, at game night, everything started clicking into place. The tension in the room was palpable. Lauren was quieter than usual, avoiding sitting too close to me, and Ryan's joke seemed a little too pointed, almost as if he were daring me to notice something. I watched them both carefully, noting every glance, every smirk. And then, during a round of charades, it happened. Lauren and Ryan were paired up. I saw it in the way she leaned in, their movements synchronized almost instinctively. I froze, heart pounding. The realization hit me like a punch to the chest. She was cheating. With him. My best friend. The room around me blurred. Laughter, game pieces, even my daughter's excited chatter became background noise. All I could focus on was the betrayal unfolding in front of my eyes. I wanted to explode, scream, or storm out, but I didn't. I knew if I reacted impulsively, I'd never get the satisfaction of revealing the truth fully. No, I had to plan it. I had to expose both of them in front of everyone. Make sure that the betrayal couldn't be hidden or ignored. As the game continued, I sat back and watched, my mind racing. By the end of the night, I had made a decision. This wasn't just about exposing them. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my trust, and making sure that everyone knew exactly what had been happening behind closed doors. The final round of the game was about to start. Cards were shuffled, dice rolled, and laughter echoed around the living room, but I barely noticed. My mind was elsewhere, focused on the betrayal that had been hiding in plain sight for months. Lauren and Ryan were sitting together, whispering quietly, sharing that subtle intimacy that had first tipped me off. I cleared my throat, making sure I had everyone's attention. "Hey, before we finish the game," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "there's something I need to get off my chest." The room quieted instantly. Everyone sensed the tension, the sudden seriousness in my tone. Lauren's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of panic crossing her face. Ryan looked uncomfortable, shifting in his seat as if trying to disappear. "I've noticed some things over the past few months," I continued, my gaze locking onto both of them. "Things that don't add up, moments that didn't make sense. And tonight, during this game, I realized the truth." A whisper ran through the room. My friends exchanged confused glances. Lauren tried to interrupt, but I held up my hand. "Let me finish. I know," I said slowly, "that my wife Lauren has been unfaithful. And not just with anyone, but with my best friend Ryan." The silence was deafening. Cards froze midair. Dice sat abandoned on the table. Lauren's face turned pale, and Ryan looked like the floor had opened beneath him. "You think this is just about me finding out?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "It's about truth, about trust, about showing everyone that actions have consequences." Lauren's lips trembled. "Alex, No," I interrupted. "Not now. You had months to be honest. Now everyone knows." The room was frozen in shock. Some friends gasped audibly. Others stared, mouths slightly open, unsure how to react. I felt a strange mix of anger and relief, knowing that the secret that had haunted me for months was finally out in the open. Ryan tried to speak next, but I shook my head. "Silence," I said firmly. "This isn't for excuses. It's for truth." Lauren looked down, tears slipping down her cheeks. I'm so sorry," she whispered. But the words fell flat in the tense air of the room. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of months of suspicion finally lift, replaced with clarity. The game night that was supposed to be fun had turned into something much bigger. A moment of reckoning, of exposure, and ultimately, of reclaiming my life from betrayal. Even though the night was far from over, and the aftermath would be painful, I knew one thing for sure. I would never allow deceit to hide in the shadows again. The rest of the evening passed in an almost surreal haze. Guests lingered awkwardly, unsure whether to comfort, comment, or simply leave. Some whispered to each other, their voices low, as if discussing a story too shocking to speak aloud. I stayed mostly silent, letting the weight of what had just happened settle over everyone. Lauren sat in the corner, head bowed, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. I didn't look at her. My focus was on myself, on the truth finally revealed, on the trust that had been shattered, and on the new path I had to navigate. Betrayal has a way of changing everything. It reshapes relationships, rewrites expectations, and tests every ounce of strength you thought you had. Ryan avoided eye contact with everyone. My best friend, or the man I thought I could trust unconditionally, now seemed small, stripped of arrogance, ashamed in a way that no apology could undo. I realized something important in that moment. Trust, once broken, cannot simply be repaired with words. Actions, choices, and integrity define relationships far more than fleeting loyalty ever could. By the end of the night, most guests had left, leaving Lauren and Ryan in the quiet aftermath of exposure. I didn't stay to watch their reactions. I had no interest in prolonging the drama. Instead, I packed up my things and stepped outside, breathing in the cool night air. The street was empty, silent except for the distant hum of a car engine. I felt a strange mixture of sorrow, relief, and resolve. As I drove home, memories of our life together flooded me. Moments of joy, laughter, and love now tainted by betrayal. Yet beneath the pain, a lesson emerged. Deception only thrives when it is hidden. By bringing the truth into the open, I reclaimed a sense of control and dignity that had been stolen from me. When I arrived home, I sat alone for a long time, letting the silence wrap around me. It was painful, yes, but also necessary. Healing cannot begin without acknowledgement. Acceptance does not mean forgiveness. It means understanding that some people will never meet your expectations, and that your life is too valuable to be dictated by their choices. In the days that followed, I distanced myself from both Lauren and Ryan. I didn't seek revenge, didn't call friends to spread gossip, didn't retaliate in any way. The exposure had been enough. Public accountability often does what threats and anger cannot. Over time, I began rebuilding, not relationships with them but my own life. I focused on friends who had always been true, on my work, and on creating boundaries that protected me from further betrayal. And as I looked forward, I realized that the darkest nights often teach the clearest lessons. The truth may hurt, but it also liberates. And in that liberation, I found strength I never knew I had.